And welcome to another episode of All Around Good on the Crawford Podcasting Network with my good buddy, number 40, the high flying act from Riviera Beach, Florida, Richard Ralpher. Two Big Ten titles in his possession. Didn't get to go far in the NCAA tournament, Rich, but what a stellar run you did have for the Wolverines.
Well, you know what? We had a good run, and the 4 years at Michigan was for the best of my life. But you know
Yeah,
what? It's good to have somebody who's from my place, the
yeah,
University of Michigan,
yeah,
national champion. So it's always
yeah.
good to have one of those guys.
Yeah, what that guy is Terry Mills, the former Wolverine national champion Wolverine. His junior year, 1989. Who can forget that magical year? You didn't win Big Ten titles, but you got one up on Rich, though, T. Mills. You got a national
Yeah,
title.
I got the ultimate prize, but I tell you what, that's an accomplishment. Getting two Big Ten titles because you better believe that was our goal, but we never could achieve that goal. And just making to the tournament during Rich's era. I mean, there was only 32 teams getting in at that
Yep,
time, not
Yeah,
68. So
yeah,
that says a lot right there.
yeah. That's a really good point there, T. Okay, we're going to get into nuts and bolts of it. I'm still processing what happened last night. I'm still seeing that 7 point lead with under 2 minutes to go for the Wolverines. Terry Mills doing the color analyst for the Wolverine Michigan basketball network there at Carver Hawkeye Arena, one of the more difficult places to play there in Iowa City. So guys, I'm gonna start out with this question. Okay, so I just saw the Big Ten tournament is in Chicago, March 8th to the 12th. So that means on March 12th is Selection Sunday. Okay, so that's just shy of 2 months away. So my fear is this: that Michigan could be a bubble team. I hope I'm wrong, but are we going to look back at January 12th in Iowa City as that woulda shoulda game that Michigan tangibly should have had because it's a good team and they've been so close in so many of these games, 1 and 2 possession game. This is an overtime. So Terry, we'll start with you. Is this going to be a thorn in the side of the Wolverines?
Well, Tom, it could be. It's so hard to win on the road in the Big Ten. That was a perfect opportunity. You had Iowa students not back there, so it
Yeah,
wasn't necessarily a hostile environment. It wasn't a full house, and I think Michigan has pretty much handed it to them. Hopefully, this is not a game that we can look back on. I love learning in victory as opposed to defeat. It goes a
yeah,
lot. But man,
yeah,
about one you want to talk about one being handed to them. That happened. Needed a 4 point play to get back into the game, and guess what? It was answered. And
yep,
I can't really speak for Rich's times up in Iowa, but strange things happen in Iowa all the
yeah,
time. So
yeah.
I can remember going into a couple double overtimes in Iowa. It's just always a wild time up in Iowa City.
Yeah. So Rich, 7 point lead. Well, actually got down to four. And so it's a 4 point lead. And I think it was Doug McDaniel did a brush by,
hmm
and this Peyton Stanforth really killed Michigan down the stretch. This kid had 26 points. He was shooting the lights out. The state of Iowa kid. I mean, okay, so what should a Juwan say? Hey, listen, whatever we do, guys, don't foul the 3 point shooter. Would you have said that, Rich?
without a doubt, and I guarantee you, Jawan said the same thing.
Okay.
Don't foul the 3 point shooter. And
Yeah.
to answer Terry a little bit earlier, it's always been tough to play in Iowa City.
Yeah.
It's never have been an easy game. We got out of there a couple of times by 1 and 2 point wins, but we went into triple overtime with them in Ann Arbor. So it's not easy to play in Iowa City. But last night, like I told you earlier, and Terry can attest to this, when you're on the road, if you're not up 10 with 2 minutes to go, you got a problem. You have a problem.
Yeah, you're right, Rich. It's not a safe lead. You look at the game they had before. I think they were down 27 to
Yep.
Indiana and came
Yep.
back and won. There's no safe lead, and I always say that. I mean, you've got to be able to make free throws down the stretch. You got to be able to rebound that basketball down the stretch, and I tested what Rich said. I guarantee it, and I actually heard it because I'm sitting right courtside that Coach Howard and the whole staff said, "Hey, we don't want any fouls whatsoever." And
Yeah.
to go out and have that happen, I mean, that's just a backbreaker right there. But you'll learn from those mistakes. But hopefully, this is not a game that'll come back and harm.
Okay. So I'm gonna Terry. I want to go with you on this, and I know Rich has got some highly opinionated opinions on number one Hunter Dickinson and his involvement or lack thereof. But 5 of 6, he almost shot 90% from the field. 5 of 6, 38 minutes of play. T Mills and Hunter gets 6 shots. What is going on? And what's the problem? How come he's not getting more shots?
Well, you know what? He's facing a lot of double teams, and they're coming from different areas and different places, and it's hard for him to get shots. I think what Michigan tried to do was try to move into the center of the court to kind of post him up a little bit, and that allowed double teams not to come. But it's so hard for Hunter to kind of get involved in that game when they're doubling like that. They're fronting. He's seeing every defense imaginable. He's out there working hard. He stayed engaged in the game, but I mean, it'll be a learning process for him. I think he had a few turnovers down the stretch where he tried to, dribble the basketball and power it up. But you got guards scratching down on that, so it's such a hard thing for him to kind of adjust to. But I think he will as the season goes on.
Yeah. So Rich, in 9 turnovers. Speaking of turnovers, Michigan had 9 turnovers in the second half. I mean, that's what they were so good. They only had 3 against Penn State at home in that big win, 0 at halftime, and all of a sudden between the Michigan State game and now the Iowa game, back on the road, here comes the turnover bug. But Rich, I mean, you saw Hunter getting doubled down, and particularly in the first half, and that's what lit up Jet. Jet Howard was on freaking fire. I mean, he had 34 points, most of that in the first half. But did you see Iowa do something different that got Jet off his game, that he wasn't as efficient as he was obviously in the first half?
Well, it's like this with Jet, and to go on a little bit what Terry said about Hunter. See, when you double and triple team and they're trying to get you the ball, that's why Jet was so wide open in the first half.
Yeah.
In the second half, well, teams make adjustments.
Yeah.
And they did with Jet. I thought that when we go to Hunter, when people break and cut, Hunter's gonna hit you with the ball. He's a hell of a passer. Yeah. And so I think we got caught up in trying to force it. And then the other thing is, like Terry says, you gotta hit free throws. If you don't hit free throws, it's gonna kill you down the stretch.
Yeah.
And we missed a few of them yesterday.
Yeah.
And so listen, it's a learning experience. But playing on the road in the Big Ten, I don't care where you play at, Northwestern, anywhere, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So Terry, and the last thing I want to do is bring in Michigan State on this topic list, but they've won 7 in a row. I just want to use them as an illustration. They've won 7 in a row, and I don't think they're much better than Michigan. And Michigan could have won that game up at Breslin that you sat courtside at. But why is Michigan State able to close these games down, including being down at 4 at Wisconsin? And Michigan is like right there. They couldn't close out North Carolina. They couldn't close out Virginia. They couldn't close out Iowa. I can add a few more to the list as well. But what is it is it lack of guard play, defensive guard play? What is it that the guard play defensively was not good down the stretch?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go with guard play. When you got that experienced guard play coming down the stretch, they know what kind of decisions to make and make the right decisions. And hey, let's give Iowa credit. I mean, it's one thing to turn the ball over, and it's another thing to give them 20 points off those turnovers. If you can turn those turnovers into points, it's something special. And, just to go back to Michigan State, and we can touch on more. I mean, they got good experience in guard play. You have to have that in order to win. But I think we're living in a different time right now. And that time is experience is kind of overruling. You're looking at Kobe Buffkin being, 18, 19 years old. Game in, game out, he's playing against guys 24, 25 years old. These guys could probably be driving to the game. They probably got wife and kids. So this is growing me in basketball.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Rich. With Jet. Now, Jet's an NBA. He's an NBA bound player. I mean, I think we're all three in agreement with that. When that happens, we don't know. But I noticed something that Jet did not do, and it was clear to me in the second half. And I'm all twisted up in this Jordan Poole. You know, I got this man crush on Jordan Poole because I just love his game. Okay, and why Jordan Poole, the former Wolverine, is so good to me. Besides, he distributes the basketball, which Jet needs to learn more of. The dude is constantly moving. He's moving all the time. And I don't see that with Jet. I didn't see it in the second half. And you know what I mean? Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. But that's because they made adjustments. And if you notice, every time he went through the paint, somebody put some wood on him. When I say wood, they put an elbow on it.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are. When you're running around that paint and you're trying to get through to get shots, when they keep hitting you, and Terry's a testament to this. Listen, big guys ain't gonna just let you run through there.
Yeah.
And so they put some wood on him last night. I think it slowed him down in the second half, but they made adjustments, and that's what happens in college basketball and in the NBA. You got to make adjustments.
Right. So Terry, and I'm going back to your first year for Michigan. I think it was 87, 88. You were a back to the basket kind of center that year, right? I mean, didn't you get the ball in the block a little bit and do that fade away a lot? I mean, were guys able to get you the ball? Did you ever go through a situation like Hunter did last night? You got an All-American center only getting that many touches.
I mean, you would have games where you would go through phases like that, but I mean, you've got to find other ways to affect the ball game. I thought Hunter did a good job. I mean, we could talk about how many shots he didn't have, but I thought he stayed engaged defensively. I thought he rebounded the basketball well. It just wasn't his calling, from the offensive end. But, hey, it's a learning curve. I believe they'll bounce back. They always do. They'll find a way. I can tell you what, the coaching staff wasn't happy after the game. So let's not make any qualms about, hey, the coaching staff was smiling when they left. They were very unhappy the way Michigan finished that ball game, and quite sure that, hey, they're going to get back in this gym today and get ready for Northwestern.
Yeah. So Rich, what do you think is at the top of the list of priorities when you look what's missing on this team? Is it guard leadership? Is it, you got a freshman, driving to the hole to win the game, and Hunter not. I mean, what is it? What's the number one thing?
Well, first of all, they're gonna have to get a little bit more experience. But my biggest thing is when we give the ball to Hunter, we have to move, but don't force it to Hunter, because when you force it, then every other player, guards, small forward, they're off balance. Now we have to work it into Hunter. Let Hunter make the pass, because I tell you this all the time. Run the offense through Hunter.
Yeah. And
let Hunter make passes to the people that can make the shots. Yeah, we did some things last night, and we didn't make adjustments. But I'm with Terry. Don't think the coaches wasn't upset, because they were, because I saw them, and I guarantee you it'll be a different game come Sunday.
Terry, what do you think when you say the coaches were upset? I mean, what do you think their number one, angst is on this team?
I really can't say. I mean, they're really trying to figure it out. You look at a lineup yesterday with Terrence Reed Jr. and Hunter.
Yeah.
I thought that was very effective, but
it was.
At the same time, I don't know necessarily that those two were on the same page as far as offensively. I think Hunter tried to drop it down to him one time on a high-low. Terrence wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
At a particular play that they run, and it's called a horn set, kind of an NBA set. And it's usually two big guys, 7-16, one rolls, one pops back. Usually if the guy rolls hard, that's going to leave the guy up top open. Well, guess what? Michigan ran it with those two in it, and because both of those guys are used to diving, both of them dove down the lane. So it was just little plays like that they were both, not in sync on. But I think as Michigan starts to play that lineup a little bit more, they'll start having such success.
Rich, I think you texted me. I think it was the Penn State game that you said Kobe Buffkin is gonna be the leader of this team somewhere down the stretch. You were seeing the leadership
Yes.
on this team. So do you think Kobe should handle the ball more than Doug, or is it always Doug
Well, I think Doug has gotten better in the last couple weeks of playing, but see, I'm an experienced guy, and I like when Buffkin has the ball because I feel like he makes good decisions. And to be honest with you, last night when the young freshman took the last shot, I had no idea he was going to do that. I thought we were going to set a play, and he surprised the hell out of me because you shot a floater. I got a 7'1" dude up in here. I'm gonna bank my money on
that. That's what
him.
I'm driving at. Yeah.
I'm gonna bank my money. That's like having Terry down there in the paint. I'm going to my big guy because it's either two things gonna happen. Either they're gonna score or they're gonna get fouled.
Yeah.
That's my thing. And I think we'll learn that. That young kid, he'll freshman, he'll learn.
No, I remember last year. Remember the Iowa game late in the year? I mean, Iowa pounded Michigan, and they're like, oh, they're on the bubble. They got in the tournament. And they had two terrific performances in Indianapolis over Colorado State and number 2 or 3 seed Tennessee. I mean, they got to the 5th straight Sweet 16. I mean, so I look back at last year as a great year, but there was the struggles last year. Now, this was an 8-man rotation. The guys off the bench: Joey Baker, Will Cheddar, and Terrace Reed. I thought Terrace Reed is really growing as a player, and Joey, he 0 for 5 did in the Michigan State game when he had those 3 open looks, and then he hit his first shot, and but he only got he played him 13 and a half minutes, and he only took 2 shots. Terry, what can Michigan do to get Joey Baker in rhythm and sync and knock down those threes? Why want him to transfer from Duke?
Yeah, I think that Joey Baker has to come in with the intent that he's going to be a sniper. He's going to have to come in with the attitude that, hey, he's going to get shots up. I thought he did that in the 2 games prior to that, not the Michigan State game, but the 2 games prior to that. I thought he came in with the right attitude of getting shots up. And I think he brings more to the game than just shooting the basketball. I've actually seen him put it on the deck, try to go to the basket, try to finish at the rim. So I think that, even last night I said on the broadcast, this was a game kind of made for Joey Baker.
It was.
He couldn't get his shot going, but I know he's going to get shots up against Iowa, and they're going to give you some shots. So just didn't happen. I think, just overall, I'm one of these guys that not looking for a bandwagon. I'm in it for the long haul. I talked with a radio crew in Iowa, and they just talked about how mad I was when we lost to Indiana last year in the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Had a nice lead. And then they kind of laughed about it and say, hey, and then you guys turn around and go to the Sweet 16. So,
I got it great. Yeah, it worked out great. See how things always work like a Seinfeld episode. It always works out,
That's exactly right.
So I'm in the for the long haul. I just, kind of tell these guys, younger guys, we live in a different generation. Hey, stay off of social media. Don't read everything because, hey, when you're down, hey, they want everybody. They want, hey, the coach gone, the player, he can't play here, this person can't play here. And some of those players, hey, if you get caught up, you'll take it personal. So, I mean, just don't get involved in it. I'm not a big social media guy. I get on every now and then, but, hey, I take my lumps when I take my lumps. When losses like that, I don't watch ESPN for 2 days.
I do the same thing. I go on media blackout. I don't watch Big Ten Network. I'm not going to have them break it down.
And then I'll go back to watching TV because I don't want to be headlines, and headlines for the wrong reasons. I think I took a week off when we lost to Central Michigan. It was more or less like that was the biggest story that they could talk about. So I'm in it for the long haul, and I always just tell those guys. I talked with Joey Baker, and I said, hey, Central Michigan, I said, it'd be a game you can bounce back from. I said, don't get down on yourself or whatever. I said, remember this. We lost to Anchorage, Alaska. There was a Division II team in 1989. And they almost wanted to behead everybody on Michigan's team And we know how that all ended, right? What the final result was on that. So don't never get down on yourself. And anybody can beat you on any given day if you're not prepared.
Yeah. Now I remember Beeline's team lost to NJIT. I remember, and I think they still got
And remember, we lost to Fairleigh Dickinson, and we was number 2 team in the nation.
Yeah, well, that's the tournament. Yeah, that's when you don't want to lose that.
Right, exactly.
That means you win home. Hey, Rich, did Tarpey ever get pissed off at you for not getting him the ball or not?
No, because we were talking about it at home since he was my roommate, and I already knew. See, when I played with big guys like Terry and them, they make your job easy. That's what these young guys don't understand. If I go into Terry or Roy and I cut, I'm gonna get the ball.
Yeah.
If they get double teamed, I'm gonna find my spot to where I can shoot the ball. See, those guys are gonna pass. This is what I want from my young guys at Michigan right now. Big guys, you can't play without them because they're gonna rebound and they're gonna block shots.
Block shots, Hunter. Yeah.
Right. And so you need to see. I've always been that kind of guy, Tom. I like playing with my big boys because my big boys make my job easy. Because if I get beat on defense, I'm gonna have Roy or Terry back there blocking shots, and I'm going down the floor.
You're exactly right. Rich, I got to ask you: was there a tad bit of jealousy when you left Michigan and you see T. Mills and Sean Higgins, all these cats win the national championship, or were you happy?
Check this out. We was happy. You know why we were happy? Because we Michigan grads as well.
Yeah.
We were Michigan alums. We get to brag just like they get to brag.
Yeah.
Because when you win, and I'm a Michigan guy, I'm a Michigan man through and through. Please, man. We was bragging. I was talking as much smack to just about everybody.
Yeah.
There's no jealousy whatsoever when you're a Michigan man and you're involved in that. I tell you what, you're involved for life. And I always tell people, I feel it just as much as the players. You know what I mean? It really hurts me when they lose ball games. I'm just as quiet as they are. I kind of hurt as much as they do. And that just shows you that, hey, I bleed blue, man. I feel just as much. I didn't even play not a second. But I feel the same way that you guys feel right now.
Yeah.
Listen, after the loss last night, Tom, I threw my phone at the sofa because I knew if I threw it on the floor, it was gonna break.
Yeah, don't do that. Your wife's not gonna be happy.
I was hot.
Okay, one final question. I'll let you guys go. Say, T. Mills, what do you? This Northwestern team, they scare the crap out of me. I mean, they went up here in East Lansing and they won in Bloomington. What's Michigan got to do in this 12:00 tip on Sunday to make sure that this doesn't this 2-game skid doesn't end up with 3?
Well, Tom, I'm going to start with this. I mean, does anything surprise you right now in the Big Ten, period? Every time I think that we're out of it and I look at the standings and the score, I'm more or less like, that team beat that team. I can't believe that. Like Maryland beat Ohio State. You couldn't have told me that Minnesota yesterday was going to beat Ohio State.
No kidding.
You lose that game. Now it is you still in the thick of things because other people are taking care of business. If you take care of business yourself, you'll be okay. But when you talk about Northwestern, I mean, this is not your typical Northwestern team. I mean, they're going to come to play. They play hard. Michigan's going to have their work cut out for them. Some of these guys don't even really know about Northwestern. I mean, Northwestern used to be a team that you could almost count on to go in and from. It's not like that anymore. So some of these young guys don't know about it. I'm quite sure that Coach Howard's going to talk about it. I mean, me and him had a conversation. I think they were in attention when he played, and he said they could have won the Big Ten and went into Northwestern and lost. So hey, you got to be prepared every single night. And when a coach gives you instructions about not giving a shooter airspace, hey, you got to take that for granted and take that for what it's worth. You go back to that Iowa game yesterday, and I just seen Michigan players, whether they scored or not, they were actually maybe complaining a little bit. Hey, I got hit on the arm. But guess what? Iowa was laying it back down in on the other end because that's the way they play. I mean, Harris Reed had a 3-point play where he thought he got hit. It actually went in.
Yeah.
And complaining about he got hit on the arm. Next thing you know, they're laying it in the basket. And I know
I remember that.
I remember.
Off the made very similar to Michigan State, where they take the ball out of the made basket and they push. So hey, Terry, Rich and I love having you on here on All Well and Good Crawford Podcast. And we're going to do this again this year later on and have you on and break it down. And I know Rich keeps smiling ear to ear when he gets a fellow Wolverine who played on the hardwood with us on the podcast.
Well, you know, Terry, one of my favorites because he one of our young guys. See,
Yeah.
This isn't like I'm just me. I've been knowing Terry since he was in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And so this
Romulus
works
High.
out for us because I know his Uncle John. I knew John.
John
And
Long.
so, yeah, I knew John. And so we knew about Terry. And so, listen, alumni of the Michigan Wolverines and ball players like me and Terry,
Yeah.
trust me, we ain't got no problem having my boys on
Yeah.
here, man. T, I appreciate you, man. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Hey, guys like Rich, they get credit just as much as we do for that championship game because I tell you what, Glenn Rice, Mark Hughes, Lloyd Buck, and all attest to it. Those guys used to beat us up bad.
Yeah.
We used to have an open gym in the summertime. They used to,
Yeah.
there was no way in hell I could guard Roy Tarpley. And I was like, what is going on here?
See, that's my young fella. That's my young fella.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks again, and go blue. And we'll be on as a trio here again really soon. T.
Well, thanks,
Go blue. Appreciate you, T.
You guys take care.
All right, guys.
Bye.